Some tools just sit in a toolbox drawer and collect dust, and some tools you reach for every time. Welcome back to the shop. I wanted to do a little tool review today on a tool that I've owned for almost a year now, and I've been using in shutdown jobs, and I've been using in a couple different places. I've used them around the farm here. This tool right here is a pretty handy tool depending on the brand, but what I wanted to know was this brand worth having. So we're going to get into that today. Oh man, I ain't got the leverage. I can actually get up in here. I can manipulate this, turn it in different directions. This little flex head. So these are Duratech Stubby flex head ratcheting wrenches. I love stubby flex head ratcheting wrenches. There's a lot of things to like about them. This is considered the anti-slip, and I want to get into whether or not that is just a pure gimmick or not. So these Duratech, this is kind of one of those companies that you look at and you know it's a cheaper brand. It's a more affordable brand. And they have some stuff that's really, really good for the money, you know, and then they have some other stuff that you don't know for sure about. As far as their warranty, I don't know for sure. I do know that they claim to have a warranty. I have not tried getting a warranty on anything, but I also haven't had anything of theirs break. They did not send these to me. I bought these with my own money because I really wanted some stubby flex head ratcheting wrenches. So I have been using these for a while. I used them as much as I could. One of the things I wanted to show you really quickly right off the bat, I don't know if you can pick that up in the light. There's discoloration on this one. This is how they come. They all come with this nice gold finish, which I actually think is a really neat looking finish. I mean, it's really cool looking the way they did that. But that finish has gotten discolored on this one right here. Now, this is the only one I've seen it on. I was working, and I'm really glad I had this 11 millimeter because there's several wrenches that I have that I don't have this 11 millimeter. And I needed this stubby 11 millimeter, which is one of the pluses that I will say for this one right off the bat, is that there are no skips. I absolutely love a wrench set with no skips. Even the 9. I use the 9 on my tractor. It's pretty rare to use a 9 millimeter, but I have used it, and I've used this one specifically on my tractor. So I'll say that right off the bat. I'm super, super happy that there are no skips between the 8 and the 19. And these are this is most of the sizes that I'm going to need. There are some sizes in here that I don't need as often, but this is definitely most of the sizes. Let's get into why this, or what is this wrench? Is it any good? So this one right here, this one I used quite a bit. The discoloration came from when I was working on I was bleeding the brakes on my wife's car. And there's just one little spot. You have to get it bent just like that, you know, and you're bleeding it. So you got to open it up and then you close it back, you know. So you're constantly bending it back and forth, opening it, you know, and then you bend it back this way and you close it. So the bleed, the brake fluid is just pouring all over this. And so in this car, the brake fluid, it was for the clutch. And some cars just take brake fluid and clutch fluid for everything. That's how this one was. So it just got absolutely covered. Like if you've ever bled your brake fluid for your clutch, you know that sometimes you can have that issue, especially if you're trying to find a leak. So that kind of happened several times because we just could not find the leak. So it did get a lot, I'll say that right there. But anyway, so long story short, it definitely caused discoloration. Does it look bad? I mean, honestly, I almost like what it looks like better than the gold. It's almost like a coppery look. Now, whether or not, like what that coating is, I don't know. Like I said, as far as aesthetically, I do like it. I don't love the fact that it did change. Just from an aesthetic side, like just purely aesthetically, okay? I don't like that it changed. Other than that, I haven't seen any major damage. Now, I have tested these out in the field in about as hard of a place that you're ever going to use it. I mean, I've used them in sawmills and in power plants and places like that. They stayed in my toolbox. I didn't use them all the time, but I intentionally, anytime I test a tool for about 6 months, this one I kept for longer, I always intentionally use it more than everything else because I really want to get an idea. I don't want to just, I want to know, like, is this a useful tool? Is it something I'm going to use? The price is what makes these good, okay? There are definitely some ups and downs to that, but the price is what makes these good. The packaging, this right here, this is a win. I don't know how long this is going to last. You saw the way I had it hanging on the wall. I love the fact that I can hang it on the wall, and then I can close them up, and I can roll them up, pack them wherever I want. So I can take them and use them somewhere easily. I can take them off the wall. I can leave them on the wall. A lot of times when I'm working here in my shop, I like to just have stuff hanging on the wall. I can get to it really, really easily and use it. So I love that. Now, how long this is going to last, I don't know. Time will tell. But the rest of this, it definitely looks really quality. I don't see any major wear. I've used these. I'm not going to lie to y'all and say that I've used these and abused them extremely hard, but I've definitely used them a pretty good bit for a stubby wrench. A stubby wrench is not something you're going to use all the time. What I have found having these is I actually tend to use these more often than I ever knew that I would use a stubby wrench. I tend to grab them about as often as I can. Now, I'd like to give you a size comparison here, just for a size reference so that everyone will know. I'm going with a 13 millimeter. I could have gone with a 10 millimeter, but everyone uses the 13 millimeter as well. If you don't, what are you doing with your life? This is a old school traditional Craftsman 13 millimeter. You can kind of see a pretty good comparison in length right there. We know that these old school Craftsmans, they were never the longest wrenches, but they were a decent standard size. Okay, this is the more modern Craftsman right here. This one is the anti-slip. I have a full review on this one right here if you want to go check that out. You can tell the difference there. It's almost twice as long for that one right there. I really like it. And then here's another Craftsman that I have. It's almost twice as long as that one as well. This is a gear wrench Craftsman. And you can kind of get the idea there. I also wanted to show you the stubby ratchet and put it first, you know, kind of compare your sizes, because this is where this is really a better classification. You kind of can't compare it to these because they're two different wrenches in some degree, but this is a decent comparison, really. So if you look at the stubby ratchet right there, this is one that I've made. You know, I'm a little bit longer that way, but when I turn it this way, I'm as short as I can possibly get. This stubby ratchet will receive an extension, and that would put it into this same configuration. So there is quite a bit of difference there, not to mention your thickness there, but I just kind of wanted to show you that size comparison so you could get an idea. All right, so a couple of points here. The anti-slip, obviously you're not going to use an anti-slip a whole lot, which is definitely what I first thought when I got these. You're not using that anti-slip a bunch because you're not really putting any real leverage on here, or at least you shouldn't be. But here's something that I found this anti-slip to be really handy. Just having this hex right here is really useful for if I'm grabbing this 19 millimeter and I'm using it on a 3/4. This is a 3/4 bolt right here. Okay, you know that that's pretty daggum close. But if I grab another size in here and it's close, but it's not quite there, it doesn't quite fit, having that hex makes it to where it will still grab and pull it loose. And considering that you should be breaking it loose with another wrench, so you've already got it broke loose with that other wrench, and then you're just using this to back it out, I see no reason why you know, if all you had was that metric size, because sometimes I'll grab the metric and then every now and then I'll just find an oddball standard size, and then I'll go to, you know, taking my wrench and I can back it out. So it's nice. That hex on there is actually really nice. I really like having it. And being that it's gear wrench, if it's not quite a perfect fit, I mean, all I got to do is just turn it a couple notches and now it goes right down on there. So I actually really like that, even though I don't think that it's necessary to have all these grooves and stuff. I think a lot of that is just more for show, more of a selling point. But the hex I definitely do like. The rest of the wrench, all of the sizes I have found, they fit exceptionally well. I've seen no problems out of any of them, and I've used quite a few sizes here. I really like the way they feel in my hand. I like the fact, like comparing these to Icon, I like the fact that they are stubby. The Icon seems more like a midway flex head wrench. This feels like a true stubby flex head wrench, like it's an actual small wrench. If I compare this to a 19 millimeter, this is a real stubby wrench. This is, even with the Craftsman, you know, by the time you get up to this this 19 millimeter, we are almost half the size. You know what I mean? So the point is that I really like the fact that that's truly stubby. Another point that I wanted to make that I think all gear wrenches should do, and they did do with this one, is that this curve in your wrench should, in my mind, point towards the direction that you are turning, which this one does. This whole set does. Some wrenches are opposite from that. I don't like that. I feel like that you don't have any switch, you don't have any direction showing. I mean, it does have an arrow there, which is nice, by the way, because I don't know if you can pick that up on camera. It is nice that it has that arrow, but I really like it when they have the direction that will tighten. They have this canted in that direction. So for me, that's a win. Maybe for everyone else, it's not. Quick mention, these Pittsburghs, I've had these for quite a while. You can tell they're starting to rust a little bit. I want to do a review pretty soon on these wrenches and let y'all know what I think about these. So that will be coming up in the channel pretty soon. So subscribe. So in my mind, as long as I can tighten this as tight as I can tighten it with a full-size wrench. Try to get a little bit more here. I may not be able to break it with this wrench because obviously it's got half the leverage, but if I can keep from breaking this wrench while I'm doing it and I'm pushing as hard as I can push, that's as hard as I'll ever push on one of these. Ordinarily I'd be breaking this nut loose with this first, but this is, in my mind, this is all the test that I need right here, is to just simply push this as hard as I can. And if I can, oh man, I ain't got the leverage. All right, that got that loose. So I don't see, and I've already done this test, that's why, you know, that's the first thing that I do. There is not a lot of shift in these, and I got that from the beginning, but even after doing this right here, I'm not seeing a lot of shift. I'm seeing just the smallest amount of shift right here, okay? But that was the same amount of shift that I had in it when I first got it. I've also got a tightening screw right here that I can tighten it up. Overall, I think the quality of these is good enough for somebody that wants to purchase something like this and it wants a stubby set of wrenches, especially if you're someone like me that's not necessarily an everyday user. But honestly, considering it's just stubby wrenches, it's not something that you're putting hard pressure on. If you take care of them, I don't know that this is even going to be a problem even for professionals. I'd love to see a professional's opinion in there. There are other brands, and I would like to test some other ones out on there. The smoothness seems plenty fine to me. Everything on it. This right here, this is really good. I mean, I have not seen these loosen up. And this 19 millimeter I've actually used for 3/4 and 19 millimeter quite a bit. And then it's really nice in these tighter areas like this one right here, where I really don't have the arc swing. But even in these other spots, this is where I was surprised, is that I'm enjoying it even in these spots that I don't have to have it. I find myself using it because it's just so handy to have. This is one of my favorite places to use this in, and I wanted to say really quick, you see one reason why I love these wrench rolls, once you get them out in the field, they just roll over anything, plus your wrenches and stuff aren't falling out. This one, I do like this one that Craftsman made, but it's still topsy-turvy. There's a little bit of, you know, it's not the best in some situations. If it falls off, it's not great. If this one falls, I'm not really that worried about it. It's kind of cushioned on there. So I'm a big fan of the wrench rolls, especially if they're done well. Right in here, if you ever have to crack these injectors, now I do have a whole video talking about how to bleed a diesel system, and a lot of times you don't even have to crack the injectors, but sometimes you have to crack these injectors no matter what you do. Now if I come in here with this wrench right here, I can get in there at an angle and I probably won't cause any problems, or at least not at first. Now maybe over time. I come in here to this one and it's a little bit more of a different story. Turn it over, I can kind of get to it, and I can get just a little bit there, but it's not great. I definitely can't get it up here. Okay, this one right here, I can get an angle, but it's not great. Okay, now here is what happens. You can break it loose with all of these. Okay, say you're in there, you're cranking on it, maybe you're reaching over this tractor and you're just, you know, you're reaching for all you're worth trying to get it cracked open. I mean, trying to get it purged. And you come in here and just when it starts to purge, you've got to close that thing off, or worse yet, it hasn't starting. That's the worst part. It hasn't started. You need to get this closed all the way. You know, like if your starter starts to get hot, you're sitting there turning over on it, your starter's getting hot, or maybe you're on a thumb press and you're pressing on it, your thumb's getting wore out. You've got to get this closed completely off before it stops pumping so that you don't get air in there. That's the best way to do it. Okay. So if you've got this and you just got this little bit, you know, this half inch little turn to get it closed, then that is significantly harder. And that's why I really, really love these little stubby wrenches in places like that. You're gonna have to forgive me for the camera, but when I've used it on here and you're sitting there cranking over on that tractor, it makes all the difference in the world when you can actually get this in here. This one is the best example. I can actually get in there, I can grab my thumb, bring it close, you know, I can get several turns on there fairly easily and actually get that turned off. All right, so is this the best wrench on the market for a stubby flex head wrench? No, I don't know that they are, but this is a really, really good option, I think, this Duratech option. I do think there are some other ones and I would like to try it out. There is one more downside that I don't like, and I wish they'd get a handle on it, is their standard sizes. They have standard sizes, but they seem to be skipping some on their standard. And the main thing is their standards don't look the same. Now that's not that big of a deal, but they don't have the same, so it's not like a matching set. And for guys like me who works on old tractors and works in sawmills and stuff, a lot of plants and mills actually still have quite a few standard wrenches and things like that. So I do wish that Duratech would do that, but as far as the quality and everything, from what I can tell so far, after almost a year of using these things, these are good wrenches. I have no issues so far except for that one that's got the discoloration. I see a little wear in the finish, but I don't see any rust like I saw on some of these Craftsman's start to come up. So I think that this is a win. I really do like it. Don't forget, guys, like and subscribe if you like this kind of content.